welcome back to On the Couch. And of course, I'm your host, Siobhan Clark. We're here for a very special show. It's the second half of our tribute to Whitney Houston, and we're here at the intimate Fresco's Wine Bar. I have with me Miss Donna Watson, and she is the president of the Bermuda Track and Field Association. She has represented Bermuda at international events. She's a track and field star, if I may. She almost qualified for the Olympics in Korea in 1988. She won silver medal in the 800 meters at the Carifta Championships in 1989. She won Athlete of the Year that same year. She won the French Street Mile 2 years in a row. She coached track and field. And she has a son who is following in her footsteps as an athlete. Is that correct?
That's incorrect.
That's incorrect. Well, I stand to be corrected then. I thought that I read that your son is also into track and field.
He likes to watch track and field.
Okay, there's a difference.
He hates to run.
Okay. And your special confession, of course, is that you love tennis as much as track and field.
Yes, and that's what my son plays, tennis.
Okay. So is that why you love tennis so much?
No, in reality, I loved tennis before I had my son.
Okay. So why didn't you venture into tennis?
Because my talents were in track and field.
Okay. That's fair enough. Know where you belong. Huh?
Yes, stay in your lane.
Okay, so how important, Ms. Watson, is sports and the arts to our character and to our national pride as Bermudians?
I think it's very important. I came through, as you said, I've been into track and field just about my entire life. And I think track and field builds character. I think it makes you very, very committed, which I am in the sport. I'm also in my work environment. It gives you dedication. It keeps you off the streets, because I know that's a problem that we have right now. Yes. And I think it's very, very important for our kids. And also it teaches you discipline, yes. Which is very, very important, because to be able to train days, compete, schoolwork, you have to be very, very disciplined. And if you're an athlete looking for a scholarship, you have to learn that very, very early, because when you get to school, they don't want to hear, I've got tests tomorrow, I have exams tomorrow. No, you have to train, and you have to keep your grades up. So I think it makes you a very, very disciplined person at the end of the day.
So I'm glad you mentioned school. What are the challenges for young professional athletes in terms of balancing, their lives with the training, with sports, with, socially? What are some of the challenges that you may help one with?
The unfortunate thing is, when you become an athlete, your social life kind of gets put on hold a bit. Because as I said, you have, I'll take you to a day that I had in university. I had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go for my long run, and that's usually around 6 miles. Oh, wow. I had to schedule all of my classes before 2 o'clock. So all of my classes at university were before 2, because I had training at 3. Okay. So I went to training. Training usually lasted for about 2 hours. Okay. And then when I got back, we had to, and in all of that, we had to fit our meals in also, because that's very important, nutrition, as the gentleman just talked about. Yes. So we had to fit our meals in, and then I had to go back, get my schoolwork done, projects done, study for exams, and then 6 o'clock the next morning. So that's a continuous cycle. So that it's a challenge, but as I said, if it's really what you want and really what you love, you will do it. And in Bermuda, I was taught that before I left. So by the time I got to university, I was already in that mood.
And you talked about training for 2 hours. What does training look like as a runner, as a track and field?
Okay, depending on the event that you're training for, you can be a sprinter, you can be a middle distance runner, high jumper, long jumper. So it depends on what event you are training for. Your training could look very, very different. As I said, for an athlete that's a long jumper or high jumper is very, very technical. So the majority of your training is spent working on technique. Okay. As a long distance runner, your training is basically built around endurance. So as I said, a lot of long distance running. All athletes have to do some form of weight training or strength training. So that's kind of the type of training that an athlete has to go through. Also, you have mental training, because what you find with an athlete, they could be as fit as fit can be. You could be next to a competitor. Both of you are the same level of fitness, but the mental capacity is very, very important. If you're not strong mentally, that person next to you who is trained the same as you have can beat you in that race. So mental capacity and mental training is just as important as physical training.
Do you think that you can train a child to become an expert runner? What I mean is, I remember when I was young, I used to see a father and daughter, and he used to run, and the little girl couldn't be any older than about 4, but he had her running around Barkley Field over and over and over again. She enjoyed it. I probably would have cried the whole time because I'm not but now she runs. And so I wonder, I mean, I ask you, you know, is it possible, if that's what you want your child to do, to kind of train them from very young to go in that direction?
It's possible, but to be honest, and I think, as I said to you, I love tennis, but I don't have the talent for tennis. I think most of us are born with a God-given talent in a specific area. As I say, stay in your lane. You know, I'm not going to get up and sing like Sia because I don't have that voice. But if I take Sia up to the track, I'll beat her up in the track. Because that's my talent.
Sia says she'll see you after the show.
So I think in reality, most of us are born with a specific talent. And that talent has to be nurtured. The unfortunate thing that I find a lot, especially in Bermuda, is you know, when our young children are 8, 10, 11, you know, they're very, very enthusiastic. They have that talent. Once you hit 12, 13 years old, that talent has to be nurtured. It has to be trained. And that natural talent starts to disappear. Because if you see an athlete that just goes on that natural talent, okay, I know I can run, and then they go up against an athlete that's training on a regular basis, you'll find that that athlete that's training on that regular basis will probably beat the athlete that had that talent. So I think most of the time talent is born, but you can find an athlete that has a little bit of talent but wants to put in a lot of work, and they can get the results. Because we have when I look at Troy Douglas, who is one of Bermuda's world-class sprinters, when we were running, Troy was never one of the best sprinters. He was never one of the best sprinters, but Troy put in a lot of hard work. He stuck to the wicket, he stayed there, and he became world class. So a lot of times you take that little bit of talent, put in that extra effort, and you can become world class.
So let's talk about Carifta. What is Carifta, and what can we expect at the 2012 Carifta Games?
The Carifta Games was founded in 1972. It was founded by a few gentlemen from the Caribbean who wanted to use this event to improve the athletes in the Caribbean region. So when it first started, it was about 12 countries that participated in the Carifta Games. Now we're up to 28. There will be 28 countries participating in Bermuda during Easter weekend. There will be over 500 athletes that will be competing. And Carifta is specifically track and field. They do have Carifta for swimming, but this event is specifically for track and field. And I think from the founders looking at Carifta now, I think it accomplished what they wanted it to accomplish. Because if you look at the Olympics in track and field, the Caribbean athletes are taking over. You look at Usain Bolt, who has broken the world record several times over and above. He started at the Carifta Games. The last Olympics in the 100 meters, all of the finalists were from the Caribbean region, and they all started at Carifta. So basically the dream that they had about Carifta is coming to fruition. Yes, so that's basically what Carifta was born for. And then we have several other events throughout the year. CAC Games, CAC Championships, which again are geared towards the Caribbean and the South American countries. But what Carifta is about is trying to offer opportunities for the Carifta, for the Caribbean athletes to grow and develop. And as I said, that is definitely happening. And I think we have a lot of Bermudian athletes right now that are really, really performing. We've had a great weekend.
And as a matter of fact, of course, for the first part of our tribute, our special show, we had Dej Miners. So I have a question, because Dej, of course, is young. He's a teen. And he's doing some awesome things heading into the under-20s, and he's only 16. But is Carifta only geared to young people, or could there be adult, contestants, participants?
No, the age group for Carifta is under 17 and under 20. So basically, your youngest athlete will be 13, your oldest athlete will be 19.
Okay.
But we don't stop there. From Carifta, we then move into the CAC senior age group division, which is basically 20-year-olds and up.
Okay.
But Carifta is geared towards 13 to 19 years old. So that's our development. That's where our athletes start at Carifta, and then they move into the senior ranks.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So I have to ask you, because you know what's so special about this show right now is, of course, we're celebrating the late, great Whitney Houston. Do you have a Whitney Houston favorite song?
I do, and it goes back to, as you said earlier, I just missed qualifying for Seoul Olympics 1988. During Seoul Olympics, Whitney Houston sang One Moment in Time.
Wow.
And if ever you watch the video, they show the athletes, they show Florence Griffith Joyner when she won the 100 meters. And I used to be up 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning because it was in Seoul. And I was watching it, and before the Olympics started, they always had One Moment in Time. When the Olympics ended, whatever hour in the morning it was, it ended with One Moment in Time. So that is my ultimate Whitney favorite, One Moment in Time.
Beautiful, that's beautiful. Well, now I'd like to welcome to the stage Miss Cindy Smith, and she is singing another classic by Whitney Houston, I Wanna Dance with Somebody. Ladies and gentlemen, Cindy Smith.
Yeah. Woo! Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Won't you dance? Clock strikes upon the hour and the sun begins to fade. Still enough time to figure out how to chase my blues away. I've done right up till now. It's the light of day that shows me how. So when the night falls, the loneliness calls. I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. With somebody who loves me. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody who loves me. I've been in love and lost my senses, spinning through the town. Sooner or later, the fever ends, and I wind up feeling down. I need a man who'll take the chance on a love that burns hot enough to last. So when the night falls, my lonely heart calls. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. Thank you. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. With somebody. with me, baby. Don't you wanna dance with me, boy? Hey, don't you wanna dance with me, baby? With somebody who loves me. Don't you wanna dance? Say you wanna dance. Don't you wanna dance? Don't you wanna dance? Say you wanna dance. Don't you wanna dance? Don't you wanna dance? Say you wanna dance. With somebody who loves me. Ooh. 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 Hey, baby, somebody who loves me.
We are on fire on the coach. Of course, that was Bermuda's own Cindy Smith. She started singing in church and she still sings in church. She has played Effie White in the play Dreamgirls, and she actually received kudos from Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones for her performance. She's known to her family affectionately as Songbird. She's opened for Jeffrey Osborne, has 3 bands, the Wall Street Band, Tom Ray Band, and Justice, whom she works along with. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Cindy Smith. And right after we come back from these messages, we will return with On the Couch.
In Bermuda, you're not as important as you are overseas. It's not the hairstylists in Bermuda don't get the respect that you get when you're overseas. In Bermuda, you're just the hairdresser. And that's because people think they can go home and do it themselves.